Hello. If you're wondering why I'm making a separate video, it's because from now on I'm going to be separating my health content from my political content. So, and the other way, if people just wants to listen to politics, they can just do it. If they want to just listen to my health content, they're gonna able to do it. Okay. If you were just wondering why I'm a little bit down today and whatnot, I'm just having a really rough mental time. If you just want a full explanation, just go watch my health video. Because of how down I am today, I am not exactly going to be, I'm not going to doing my a follow-up on what is socialism and all that, the history of socialism. Not today. I will come back to it another day. Instead today, I'm going to talk about something different. And I haven't talked about the war in Ukraine for a while. I'm slowly watching what is happening, and I'm discussing how the West is reporting what is taking place. They're still presenting it as if Russia is winning this war. Oh, sorry, Ukraine is winning this war. Honestly, it completely dumbfounds me how people are falling for the same propaganda that led the people to the Iraq war. It is as if people who they're not learning how these things happen, and rather they're going to say, but look, Russia is being imperialist, so therefore the West has no involvement. And honestly, it kind of disgusts me. It really does. They're always using the same narrative. Like, I am currently listening to Noam Chomsky book, an audiobook, Manufacturing Consent. The original recording that I had is gone from the internet. That channel I cannot find that channel. But I found another channel who had the recording, and there's some changes because he doesn't have the updated version where Noam updated and just put the Iraq war into it. You have the older version. But nonetheless, the information is still good. It's still very prevalent. Nothing has so fundamentally changed since then. Like the idea that our press is actually free is actually going back to what somewhat I was talking about when I was talking manufacturing consent. And I do want to finish that series at some point. And it's really, really difficult to learn what is actually going on. And the one thing that people don't seem to understand it is how powerful media is. And I talked to a few people, and they were like, CIA? Yeah, it's not important. Those guys doesn't influence anything. It's like, it's just security. It's not important. Just stay doing things. You just dismiss it outright as if they have no impact. That these policies that the CIA and the FBI and all of those institutions, with the MI6 or the Canadian variant, has no influence, is laughable. Like radio, like I have debated with leftists who use Radio Free Europe as if it's a reliable source. But then if you try to pick a Russian source, oh, that's Russian propaganda, you cannot use it. It's a double standard. One type of story is good, another type of story is bad. And of course, the money that is being used by the Western source is far more prevalent and is able to control the media to what we can see, cannot see, can or cannot see. Whether you're right wing, left wing, centrist, or whatever, there are some blind side in our news coverage. Yet these people will have no problem using the same media and say Russia's at fault. I was listening to Majority Report. They cover coups, the US coups all across the globe. And then this side with in regards to Ukraine, their position sides very much within U.S. imperialism. And I really want to have an actual discussion with the Majority Report. It's the Majority Report with some Sealers. One of the most center-left political program that you're going to find on YouTube. And in many ways, they will be able to cover so many stuff that typically is not going to cover from other shows. And I have to say, I'm very disappointed with them. And I want to have an honest discussion with people like them and discuss with me why is it the 2014 coup isn't a coup. When all the evidence for a coup is right there. Just a few days ago, I found my last piece of evidence that was missing, where you had some sort of policy in the works to coup the Ukraine government. George Soros, a well-known oligarch, where he creates orange revolution all across the globe. It has nothing to do with the fact that he is a Jewish and the Jews is there to take over the world. I don't care that he's a Jew. What I care is the fact that he's an oligarch using his money to influence state's policy in foreign government. He will install non-governmental organization to influence the people there, creating right-wing coups all across the globe. There's a reason why you have Orange Revolution happening. And he admitted that he made a NGO in Ukraine before the separation of the USSR. They were active through the 90s, through the 2000s, and up to this day. Like the interview was done like 5 years ago, where he stated, my organization was they're influencing the policies of Ukraine and install a regime that benefits the US empire. He flat out said it on air. So here we have a well-known figure who actually publicly made a statement. That's the final nail on the coffin to show that it was a coup. Because you also have other influences. You had the US leadership and a lot of Europeans like, we're going to try to bring democracy in Ukraine. We're with you, to stand with you to to stand for freedom. We're going to, and they've been spending billions of dollars for the regime change. And Viktor Yanukovych, or whatever his name is, I always butcher his name, should listen to the voice of the people. They shouldn't use state power to crush protests and whatnot. It's like very, very like condemning the pro-Russian government for its action. Then don't forget about the neoliberal policy. Let's talk about the entire chain of event. People says that Viktor was corrupt oligarch and is bringing the country downfall and all that, and he chose the Putin's deal over NATO's deal. Okay, so let's think about the two type of deals that he was giving to. You have the European deals, where it's going to say, if you join us, you're going to put austerity measures. So austerity, basically, we want you to deregulate the market. We want you to remove labor power, all of that, to actually to actually be part of it. Basically, we want you to destroy your economy in order to be part of the EU. And by the way, neoliberalism is a policy that has been implemented since the 1980s. And one day I'm going to really delve in on neoliberalism, the problem with it, all of that. But let's just say, for now, that neoliberalism is a total failure wherever it's been tried. It made the people poor, the poor poorer, and the rich richer. And it caused exploitation in all levels. And crimes goes up. In all levels, it makes the society worse. But of course, if you talk to conservatives, they don't want to undo the neoliberal policies that created this mess. They want more deregulation to mess up the economy even more. And this cycle just continues to rob. It's just another form of colonization. So this deal is a total disaster for Ukraine. Meanwhile, Putin offered a $15 billion loan without austerity measures. if you had two economic deal as a president, as a prime minister, one offers you austerity measure and the other doesn't, in what world, if you're the leader of a country, would you pick the austerity measure? I have yet heard a single person who's able to explain to me why picking the EU deal was a bad deal. But he said, but the people of Ukraine wanted to go with the EU deal. This is absolute nonsense. The whole argument, Ukraine wants this, Ukraine wants that. But yet, they don't talk about how there's cultural divide. That there's the Western Ukrainians that are very much pro-European, and then the Eastern Ukrainian that are very much pro-Russia. The Western Ukrainian never recognized the autonomy of Eastern Ukrainians. This goes back for decades in the past, when I started really digging into the history, where you have the cooperative between the Nazis and the Ukrainians, or even before that. And I was debating with a Romanian dude online, where he was like, but you see, in Romania, we never want to be part of USSR. There was some communists in our countries who want to be part of the USSR, but we kicked them out. I was like, oh, wait. I was like, wait, read what you just said. You had some Romanian, who has a Romanian? One who was pro-USSR, those who were not. But yet, you denied that the Romanians that were pro-USSR to be Romanians. That sounds very familiar language. During the in Ukraine, the Western Ukraine during the Nazi time didn't really accept the USSR. the Eastern Ukrainian was very much pro-USSR. It was the Western Ukrainian who allied themselves with Hitler. This sounds very, very familiar, isn't it? In Ukraine, right now, you have the Eastern Ukrainians who did not want to be part of the Kiev regime of the 2014 coup. They wanted to have autonomy from Kiev. Yet, their independence movement was not recognized because the Western Ukrainian saw as division. And these Eastern Ukrainians were not true Ukrainians. They were separatists. They were communists. They are for Ukrainians. They're not real Ukrainians. Why would you want to ally with Russia? You're just promoting Russian imperialism. You're not true Ukrainian. You're just some Ukrainian traitor. Ukrainian separatist. This is something that I find disgusting. And notice in the Western media what the Eastern Ukrainian wants, those voices are completely silent. They're being removed from the conversation. Anything that goes against the narrative is being removed. And if you try to pierce through that propaganda, you are being called as Putin apologist. And this is what has happened in Ukraine. Like going back to the coup. As I said, it's kind of started with Viktor rejecting the EU deal for Russia deal. And if you were a leader who had a choice between an austerity deal versus non-austerity deal, why would you go with an austerity deal? Please, someone explain me this. Then you have the counter-revolution that the West has been ignoring. Because the narrative says that when the coup happened, Putin just went in Crimea and annexed it. That's the narrative that we hear. But we don't talk about what has happened between these two time period. There was a counter protest. There was massive amount of people, Eastern Ukrainian, who supported Viktor Yanukovych. These voices are being silenced. And there were massive protests. There were counter protests, like just showing their support to Viktor. But it were, and even before that, like I have not finished to really like dissecting the coup. Like I have talked about George Soros, but I said that it was the final nail in the coffin. But I'll briefly talk about the EU deal. I have talked about George Soros, about the billions of dollars that the US invested. You had John McCain, Victor Nuland with the leak audio, where you can literally hearing them deciding who will go in the government. He really just choosing like making calls to the people that they prefer to go in the government. That audio alone demonstrate the coup. Then you have the as all the Obama support of the protest. You have John McCain going there. All the neocons, they're supporting it. Then you also have the actual shootings, where there's a third party who's been shooting both the cops and the Ukrainian. There's even a leaked document where it says that if you get 100 people killed, we're going to recognize the Ukrainian government as no longer legitimate government. According to Viktor, this is not actually like actual actual like back up with evidence. It's just simply what he said. And you can take it a grain of salt if you speak the truth or not. But to me, it makes perfect logical sense that the one who controls the police force is like a national security guy or something like that. Like, I don't actually know the actual title of it, but he was a specific leader, and he went behind his back and ordered the shootings. And the shooting occurred when this person talked with the leaders of the neo-Nazi. To me, that story gives complete possibility, and he claims that when it happened, he was asleep, and he never gave the door. He was completely unaware until after the fact. And to me, that is completely plausible to have somebody like that being infiltrated into government and to basically betray him. That is something that the US has done before. Thomas Sakura or something like that. He was a communist leader in 1670s where he gained power, and it's like his right-hand man betrayed him, killing him under the order of the CIA. Then you have the far right, who's the most active. The ones who did all the shootings. Yes, there was the peaceful protest, but they never talk about the riots. The ones who are literally be shooting at guys, who are breaking into government buildings. The militant force. The far right. Who literally could the government. They don't talk about those guys. They don't talk about how the shooters was killing people. Both sides. And there's a third unknown party. And people don't want, the government, the Ukraine government, has never investigated the shootings. And those shootings are just being dismissed as if it's just Russia propaganda. I know that there's a Canadian university professor who did this entire analysis on those shootings. And I conclusive demonstrated how there was a third party. But you want me to say that these guys were just liars? And I think it's going to be part one. But it's still far more to delve into this topic. Because we're just barely out of the coup itself. We're not even talking about what has happened between the coup and the annexation of Crimea. So again, can someone please explain to me why this isn't a US coup? Have a good day.